Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now that we've seen some new weapon tuning updates go live within Warzone, we have a much more defined long-range meta with some pretty solid options that all, for the most part, are extremely competitive and sort of can be, flip-flopped with one another regardless of what you want to use on your setup, and you're going to be able to do well with all of them. So today, we're breaking down the best long-range weapons and setups in the game right now. So as we get into the builds, if you enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. It does really help the channel grow. If you're new here or you simply have not subscribed yet, around 50% of viewers watching are not subbed, and if that's you, would love to have you join us on the road to 1 million by hitting that subscribe button and turning on those post notifications. And of course, by doing so, it guarantees you're always up to date with all things going on in COD. But of course, starting us off first here is the Bas-B. No real surprises here. This thing's been a go-to medium to long-range gun since the game dropped. Luckily, it has been nerfed and adjusted some so that the other options on the list here today actually stand a chance, but it's still a really good choice. Does require a bit more effort to do well with now, though. You really got to land your shots for this to count and actually fry through enemies, right? And with the skill gap between this and some of the other builds is noticeable. This one does take more time and effort to master, but this setup does focus on making it as easy as possible. So for long range, I'm loving the 2.5 times Eagle Eye optic. It's very similar to a VOK 3 times, super clean reticle and decent zoom as well. But there are some other good choices too. If you're more of a fan of some red dots and whatnot, slate reflector can be used at long range because of how low the visual recoil is. The MK3 reflector is also a really good choice, the Night Art model 2023. So you certainly have options here. Optics, always go for what you are the most comfortable with because you're going to be the most accurate with that, obviously. The 45 round extended mag, max mag here, obviously going to be necessary for duos, trios, and quads, so you'll want to have that. Bruen heavy support grip is so good for so many guns in this game because it focuses mainly on horizontal control and a little bit of gun kick. So it just makes the patterns way more predictable by eliminating any possible random horizontal bounce, and it just focuses on vertical then, because then you can easily predict that pattern. Vertical recoil is the easiest to counter, obviously. As much as I would love to stay off the minimap and use a suppressor here, like I said, control is so important. So I like the Tempest GH50. It helps out mainly with vertical control, but also gives you some horizontal. But if you want to go all in on horizontal, like I said, you could change to the TIE LR8. You could change to the Lockshot KT85 for a nice balance. The leveler gives a little bit more horizontal as well. So it just depends on how you want the weapon to feel. There literally is no wrong answer between any of these four on here, though. They are all really good at what they do. And then lastly, Bruen Venom Long Barrel helps out with velocity, control, and range. That nice 3-in-1 combo just makes it even more lethal for the long range here. So if you can land your shots consistently, this thing is still a top tier choice for the long range meta. By far, one of my favorites in the long range meta right now is the Pulemyot 762. This thing fries. Its TTK is ridiculous. It's also super easy to use and truly feels more like an AR LMG hybrid because we've got the Jack Annihilator Bullpup kit conversion on it, and this makes this gun so fun. Without it, I probably wouldn't mess around with this too much because it's just a slow and a heavy LMG, but this turns it into feeling like an AR LMG hybrid. Better mobility, better handling, faster fire rate, so a better TTK, better ADS speed. It just makes it so versatile and so aggressive while also still frying, right? So initially here, I got the TL20 recoil grip. This is going to help out straight up with control. That said, sometimes players are comfortable with how a weapon feels and they want a little bit more in terms of mobility, or they want to focus just more on horizontal. You could do so by adding in an underbarrel. Bruen heavy support is going to be good here. There are also some other pretty good choices, like for instance, the skeletal vertical hurts a little bit of horizontal but does help out with vertical control. The Hound's 9G grip would be a good option here as well. So you certainly have some options if you want other benefits elsewhere, just other than the TL20 offering there. 2.5 times optic yet again, but if you want to change that out for a lower zoom, feel free to do so. Spirit Fire suppressor in this case, something that we're going to be running a lot of in this video because it's a suppressor, so it keeps you off the minimap, but also gives you better control and better range and better velocity. So that's a clutch 3-in-1. Then lastly, I got the Jack Annihilator Long Barrel, which comes with the conversion kit, which gives you better range and better velocity. So again, helping out even more in the long range efficiency here. Such a fun gun, by far one of my favorites in the game right now. Now, LMGs are kind of running the long range meta, and that's why our next option here is the Bruen, another super fun gun, and especially with this build, it feels so much like the original Warzone 1 Bruen did back in the day when it was utterly dominant, and quite frankly, it's utterly dominant here as well. It's got one of the best long range TCKs in the entire game, while also being super usable as well. Low recoil, low visual shake as well, so you're going to be frying with this thing. Initially, MK3 reflector is a solid optic even for long range. While it's a low zoom one like a slate reflector, the visual recoil is so low you can stay on target easily, but if you wanted to upgrade to the 2.5, feel free to do so. That works well as well. We also got the 60 round mag here. We're dropping this down from the base 100 because this gives us better ADS, sprint to fire movement. Just makes it again feel more like an AR LMG hybrid, similar to the Pulemyot. I've also got the choke angled underbarrel here. This only gives me horizontal control. It actually hurts the vertical, but that's not a huge deal when the gun's this easy to use, and it gives me some better movement, and I like the feel of that a lot. Bruen heavy support's also a really good choice as well. Spirit fire suppressor, yet again, as mentioned, we'll be seeing a lot of this. Control, velocity, and range benefits. Then the horizon barrel just does control and velocity, no range benefits here. However, the damage is already so good over range that it's not a deal breaker by any means, so this thing absolutely fries as well. It is one that is so much fun, also very nostalgic as mentioned. And then one that honestly I'm a little bit surprised by, but has been proven to be so reliable, is the KATT Eradicator LMG. This thing's got a weird fire rate because it starts off shooting super fast and then slows down, but regardless of when you're landing your shots, it does melt over range. It's got one of the best TTKs, not just in the LMG category, but the entire game over range. If you can land your shots in those first few bullets when it has that faster fire rate, you're just going to kill even quicker, and then over time, it doesn't matter. Even though it slows down, you're still going to be set, right? So surprise, surprise, the Spirit Fire Suppressor is back here, as is the choke angled grip, but once more, Bruen heavy support, also a really good choice here. I've got the combat rear grip, straight up better control here, better horizontal and vertical. No need for a magazine, 75 does just fine. I've got the core stock on here. This helps out again with just base control. And then I also go for the 2.5 times optic. That said, this isn't 100% necessary. The iron sights are super clean, like the TAC-56, for instance. It's very SCAR-like. So if you wanted to drop an optic and throw on, you know, a laser for a snappier ADS and sprint to fire, you could do so. If you wanted better velocity and range, you could use the long barrel. If you wanted better ammo types, upgrade, you know, high velocity, for instance, or high grain, you could do that too. You got some options to mess around, but regardless of how you build this out, it's gonna feel great. This thing is a beast. Now, we can't talk the long range meta without bringing up the KATT-AMR, because this is our one true one-shot sniper in the game. You don't have to use explosive ammo for this. You can go all in on velocity and have a hit scan feeling sniper that also one-shot knocks, which is obviously insanely dominant for the long range, even more so now than at the start of the year where we had things going crazy with like the insta-kill meta, right? So this thing definitely dominates that sort of area in that specific niche now. So initially, I like the Nightfall suppressor. It's just going to help out with that velocity a ton. Now, it does hurt the ADS speed a little bit, so if you want a slightly snappier build, the Sonic suppressor does a bit less for velocity, but it's not going to hurt your ADS. So just pick your poison there. With higher velocity, though, obviously it's going to feel more hit scan like. The Zang barrel also helping out with velocity. The range does not matter here, even though these are boosting it, and that's nice. We're only focused on the one-shot headshots, and that happens at any range. The Spire point rounds, again, helping out a ton with the velocity. And then for some general movement speed, I do go for the lightweight rubberized stock. It's base movement speed and sprint speed. However, it doesn't help out your ADS speed all that much. So that said, if you wanted a snappier ADS, go for the tactical pad stock. This does help out with that a little bit, but I like the general movement when I'm running around at this out. It's nice to not be super bogged down because this is such a heavy sniper, obviously. Then I also go for the quick bolt on here, which is going to allow me to shoot shots faster. It's going to be a faster rechambering speed, so I don't have to wait as long. If I get that knock, I can quickly get that finisher. I can knock multiple players back to back because I do have that on there. If you're looking for a screenshot, I'll go ahead and hide the face cam for you there. But yeah, in terms of sniping, this is the absolute meta and nothing else compares. Now, we do have some decent rifle choices for the long range meta as well. The Holger in specific is one I've got my eye on as sort of like a sleeper choice because it's actually got a very competitive TTK over the long range. Its problem is its magazine capacity here. We are limited to a 40 round extended mag, which does kind of suck for the damage per mag. However, it's laser accurate, arguably the easiest gun to use in the game. So good TTK, great accuracy. You combine those, you don't necessarily need a ton of ammo because you're going to be so accurate. You're still going to have to reload often, but it's going to be while players are knocked or while players are spectating you, right? I've also got the 2.5 times Eagle Eye on here, no surprises there. The angled underbarrel here helps out a lot with horizontal control, does add in a bit of vertical, but when you've got a gun that's this easy, this is a great choice. But if you wanted to use the Bruen heavy support, you could also do that. It's just going to be a little bit slower on the ADS. Spirit Fire Suppressor makes another appearance here. Then we've got the Cryo 6 match barrel, helps out with velocity, control, and range in there, just optimizing it even more for obviously where we're targeting usage with this. Definitely a very, very fun rifle. Now the SVA is actually a really good long range rifle as well. Honestly, it's just a good rifle in general. Sniper support, the early like mid-range area, it's got a fast TTK, but then over range, it's low recoil, and you can kind of spam the hyper burst even in long range to get some cheesy, really fast TTK kills. So this is a super fun one as well. Initially here, reflector sight, but if you want to upgrade to 2.5 or change over to a slate or a NIDAR, feel free to do so. No harm done there as long as you're comfortable with your sights. The 45 round mag or the 60 round extended mag here, either or will work fine if you're playing, you know, more resurgence style for the long range. 45 would probably be sufficient if you're playing just simply battle royale. Upgrading to 60 is pretty good as well. Choke angled underbarrel, yet again, better horizontal control. Bruen heavy support though, good option too if you're okay with the worse ADS speed. Spirit Fire Suppressor, surprise, surprise. Then lastly, I've got the precision barrel, better range, better velocity, better control, better pizza, Papa John's, that 3-in-1 combo. Yet again, obviously just making things even better for the mid to long range gunfights there. Again, a slept on rifle in my opinion. You look at things like the FR and the DG that have been meta in the past, and the changes to those definitely draw them back enough to where you can see things like the SVA now stand out a little bit more. It's not just MW3 guns that dominate the long range. The M13B from MW2 fries. It's like a top 3 rifle in the game right now, not just limited to you know, MW3. We expand to this and it overtakes a lot of the MW3 rifles in terms of TTK, while also being incredibly easy to use, which is a nice added bonus since most MW2 guns don't have that similar feel to MW3 guns quite yet. So 2.5 times optic, again, no changes there. 60 round extended mag, faster fire rate here, so you definitely want to upgrade to this in full. Bruen heavy support. I love the fact that we can use some MW3 attachments on the MW2 guns. It just makes these even better. Spirit Fire Suppressor, for instance, is making another return here. Then lastly, an MW2 attachment. Crazy. It's the Bruen Echelon barrel, better range, better velocity, better control on here as well. Also, somehow it gives us better hip fire, but we're obviously not using that, so that's kind of irrelevant stats there. But this for long range, it's optimized and it is lethal. And then lastly, unfortunately, the Interceptor is still here. Yes, this caught a nerf a little bit ago, but it's still deadly in the right hands. If you can just consistently land shots, especially upper body shots, so upper torso, neck, and head, it's still going to be like a 3 to 5 shot kill, which is going to be tough to outgun unless you also have this or are just crazy accurate with one of the aforementioned guns. So despite the nerf, the Interceptor is still very, very solid. 2.5 times scope on here. The 20 round extended mag is your max here, so obviously you want to be running that. The Ripper underbarrel is super clutch here because it's going to help out with the recentering since it's semi-auto. It's going to make you more accurate when you're shooting back to back to back to back. It also helps out some with control and the idle sway as well, so it just makes you way more accurate in a gunfight. I got the long shot pro barrel, more control, decent velocity, decent range. Blackthorn only helps out a lot with the range and the velocity, but no control. And since the nerf, I want to be as accurate as possible, so having better recoil on there, in my opinion, is the better way to go. But each of these are really good choices. Like, there's no wrong answer here. It's just depending on how you want the weapon to feel. And then, surprise, surprise, the Spirit Fire Suppressor has made another appearance with its better velocity, control, and range benefits. So yes, it's nerfed. No, it's not out of the meta. This thing is still very, very good. And that being said, that's how the long-range meta currently plays out here in Warzone. That's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you are up to date with news, updates, meta breakdowns, everything like that. It's all right here. Feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.